OpenAI drop a bombshell. Sora.
Councils in Wagga looking to use AI.
11 Labs, a voice cloning startup, raised 80 million.
Welcome to another week and big week draw. 20th of Feb, we had Valentine's Day. We got through that with our sort of AI assistants. Each week is so significant, and this week's no different. Why don't we kick off with some news in the Australian ecosystem that we're starting to see some frameworks around AI ethics. And so, this week the Department of Industry came out with, principles aiming to ensure, as they say, safe and secure and reliable use of AI. And this is looking at it from an Australian point of view. And I think that's really interesting to see this voluntary framework for businesses and governments to adhere to. And we're already starting to see some businesses, sign up to that. So that's great to see that.
Here's what I've got to say about that item. I lost my bet. I had a bet standing last year. About a year ago, AI was going nuts. It was clear that there was going to be a move to regulate it. I made a bet that by the end of that year, I think we describe it as a meaningful global regulatory regime for AI. And there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of noise. There's some substantial stuff, but it wasn't signed into law. The closest we got was framework in Europe. If I'm not mistaken, it's still in the process. I don't know how I feel about that. I lost my bet to my friend Mike. I owe him, I think, a dinner and a beer. That's kind of related because, here's Australia ethics principles. It's nice. It's a PDF. The truth of the matter is that if we're looking for ethics and regulations, there's some choke points to the industry, the big models, the big providers, and that's where we're going to see the action, in my opinion.
I don't know if you lost the bet totally. It doesn't mean that you can actually regulate it, but I think these are principles. So, optional people need to, aim to adhere to this. But I see as we go along, this is going to become, standard practice and an acceptable level that you have to apply these principles and ethics, and then there will be laws around this. And some of the stuff we're going to see discussed when we talk about how you use the models around video and other things is just going to be a can of worms that we're just at the very, very early stages of. So yeah, excellent.
Yeah, so Google a week ago announced that they can do 1 million tokens, and now they can do 10 million apparently. They're working on the Gemini 1.5, and it's just mind-boggling because, my current working method with ChatGPT as I code is to give it a bit of code, ask a few questions, remind the context, explain what I'm trying to do, and then, continue that, which is actually not so bad. I mean, it's a bit like paired programming in that sense. What can you do when the thing has 10 million context? Here's my entire operating system, all my files I ever wrote. Here's all the videos of my family. Here's the entire code base of the program. Now what? It's very easy to start seeing science fiction, to go, oh, well, it can do everything. All these announcements, I don't think anyone in the industry already, besides very few people in a few of these research labs, know exactly what happened when you have such huge windows. It's a mix of really great excitement and great fear.
I think this highlights the trend that this week particularly is things that we thought are going to take longer are happening quicker. The point of that context window being bigger, if you do some comparisons between the previous ones, this is a massive leap forward. They're doing something special in there to enable that larger context window. So I think that's also the big news here. It's not just this evolution of compute that's made this happen. There's something else that Google are doing there for that to be possible. So that's what's also amazing. And when we touch on some of the stuff that we're seeing with OpenAI, there's something they're doing special in there as well. And I think that opportunity in what we're seeing for founders and for businesses to adopt some of these technologies is not many years away. This is something that needs to be addressed now. And the opportunities are also now if you're not, doing this. So I feel really strongly that this is a really exciting time. One of the products that I've been using for a long time is Otter AI. What I'm finding is that it's a really interesting product in that meeting space. It joins my meetings when I have a coaching business as well, jumps in, helps me with writing up things that I need to do. But it is really getting better. And it's now created language models of meetings. And so it really streamlines this way we meet. But it does start to pose this sort of question is, do we start to use a product that's specific like Otter, or do we use the products that Google and Microsoft and Zoom have within their products and what that model is going to work out? And I think we're starting to see this, the real specialization in using a product for a particular use case like this with Otter, or do people go down the route? And it'll be interesting to see what happens as we go along.
Yeah, it's a bit like Zoom, the way Zoom was, reigned supreme, and then the pandemic happened, and then everything you can have a video. You can have a video in any browser. You can add video to a meeting in Calendar. You send someone a message in LinkedIn, and then it has start a video.
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah, what I think is people have to decide is, are you going to use the product to meet within Meets or Zoom or Teams, or are you going to use a specific product like this across all of your parts of your life? Because AI will become native in almost all products. And so, do you want to summarize it in each one of those applications you use, or do you want something that sits across it?
I think that the unified approach will win. Person who have your access point has much of the leverage. So the computer
Yeah.
platforms and the search engines.
So look, another news item this week was really around some councils in Wagga looking to use AI to tackle, the frustration of their sort of DA or development approval times. And so look, they've kind of put that out. We're starting to see this just across government and other places now, really going towards AI. And sure, it's been slow, but it's interesting to see that they're going out to come up with a solution.
So I saw the news about 11 Labs, a voice cloning startup, raised 80 mil. Basically, you speak for 2 minutes and then you can clone your voice and just let it read text. It made me wonder, what's the business opportunity here? Who's the buyer of voice cloning services and how they make money? And I can't tell you right now, but I've produced a bunch of videos in the past and I did use voice artists. And the process of using voice artists is a bit slow. And I wouldn't say that expensive, frankly, with a product like voices.com. Did I have perfect takes every time? No. Would it be better for me if I could edit in text what they say and immediately see it? Yeah. You combine this with what we've just seen from Sora. And you know that 2024 is going to be a year of most countries in the world will go through elections. We're living in turbulent times. So all these things coming together. Don't you feel a little bit like cringy?
No, I do, but I also think what this is going to highlight is the need for identity, for us to control our own data, for us to control our own AI or representation of ourselves. And, as we saw last week, you had Imran Khan, who's in jail, using his own AI to communicate something. And that's going to be an interesting thing of where is a legitimate use and where is illegitimate use of that. I think there's a whole range of things around legislation and law, and we talked about ethics at the beginning today that need to be worked out. My question from an investment point of view is, why is this going to win over others will be the interesting thing for me. Once again, in the investment space, massive, upticks in valuations. You look at what happened with NVIDIA this week, continuing on this, developing these, specialized chips. And so, a lot of people are saying this sounds a little bit like some of the things in the dot-com era. Time will tell whether some of these things are overhyped. But I think there's definite opportunity in there, maybe just in particular areas. And that's obviously our focus. But I think now is a great time to be looking at this. But there is a lot of hype. And, I think really going deeper and seeing what's happening as this evolves is really important.
Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room. We want to talk about Sora. OpenAI dropped a bombshell in the middle of the industry. The thing that everybody anticipated and were afraid of. So text to video generation in a photorealistic way that is indistinguishable between that and real footage. It makes you wonder, what is real footage? That's it. We're here. There's a really cool website they put together with a bunch of examples. So first we can say about what that means. Let's go over to you. What do you think? In all the context of everything we talked about.
I mean, I just went, holy shit, basically, is I thought when I saw this, there's no way this can be generated by an AI. Just to be able to do that is a massive leap forward. If we look at the quality of some of the things that have been there previously, it's interesting to know that OpenAI must have had a lot of these things underway for some time. So they've known that, what they've been capable of doing. And the big thing for me with what we're seeing here is as this compute gets better, and you can see why, Sam Altman's talking about trying to build these new chips, have more compute. Does this just scale better? And does it mean we can have these simulations around almost anything that we can prompt? So we have these large language models now that can write and you can start to distinguish great ways of communicating. And if you can translate that into voice and video, I think we're into a new age. And it might not be now, but this is a little glimpse of where we're going. I think from a creative point of view, but equally from a training, from how we interact, it's just opening a can of worms. And this is potentially a pathway to AGI. I don't know.
Do you remember that about a year ago, the Center for Humane Computing put a TED Talk type. It's the guys who made the video, The Social Dilemma. It's the AI dilemma. And they were warning everyone. And they said, this is social media. This is the monster we created. And here's what AI can do and can be and how bad it can be. And it was controversial in the sense that it was scaremongering a little bit, but when you actually analyze it, is there anything fundamentally wrong in anything they said? And the answer is not so much. It's pretty accurate. One of the things that was interesting is they brought in some research and it explains there's a scientific breakthrough in many fields in life, and that's like the step change. And then all the improving later are basically engineering optimization. So we invented rockets, in the World War, and then a few decades later we could land on the moon, and it was all engineering from there. Here, the fundamental scientific breakthrough that underpins all this transformation we're seeing is basically machines that learn language. And we think of language as, text and putting words together. When I saw a paper that explains how Sora is working, they did exactly what they've done to text. When we think of like, oh, it's just the next token generation. It's like it just takes a text and it's like, here's 100 words. What will most likely be the next word? Here's 101 words, 102 words. What's the next likely? And that actually creates a sensible article or answer and so forth. So they do something similar. They take 100 frames, they take an area of the frame, and they say, what's the most likely next patch in that frame? And they got just do it again and again and again. It's the tokenization of reality. It's the converting everything to a language problem, and you have a general purpose language learning algorithm. And that's the path to AGI, because you think about what's the path to human intelligence? Well, the path to human intelligence was that we mastered language, and we can convert all our learning and all our improvement and through communication and language. So I think this is kind of it dawned on me how powerful that sentence that a guy said a year ago when he said, everything can be reduced to learning language. How you could see the ramification of this in the market.
I think it was Yan LeCun, the guy from Meta, well-renowned, super smart guy. I mean, he was saying that recently was that wouldn't be possible to predict, what's going to happen in that. A year ago, we looked at this technology we had, and, I've sort of seen this going around the traps. We had, there's a video of, I think it's Will Smith eating spaghetti. That's a famous little kind of one where it's this kind of goofy thing of an AI generating him eating spaghetti. Fast forward a year later, and we have high def video. Now, what I would love to see as a true experiment is to do that same Will Smith eating spaghetti with Sora at some point and see what that looks like. And if that's indistinguishable, that's the point that we start to go, wow, we have moved on a lot. And this principle, we're seeing that just moving so quickly, and the pace. So I think that the big takeaway for me is the opportunities that are, if you're not in this space, you're not working in your business in this space, this is the opportune times to integrate this with other things. This isn't the only thing going on, and that's what's exciting. We look what's happening in so many different areas. I think this combination of these different technologies is where the opportunities are. So for founders, for businesses, you need to be looking at these technologies, not just Sora, but many of the other things that are happening around how you operate. Look, that's it from This Week in AI. I'll catch you next week, Joel. So look, one thing you can do if you're watching this video, if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And look, share this video. That helps us a lot to have that discussion. We'd love to have some comments. So, tell us what's interesting. Tell us what you want to hear. Tell us what you disagree with. But thanks so much for joining us. See you later.
See you later.